episode of the Six Figure Vet podcast, where we showcase the success stories of Black and Brown veterans that have successfully unlaced the boots. Today, we have none other than Dutch, okay? This six-figure gentleman didn't just survive the transition, he thrived. From learning discipline and resilience in the military to mastering things like cybersecurity, project management, and other difficult things in the tech world, this vet is the blueprint for success in the tech industry. Get ready to take notes as he breaks down the challenges, the wins, and the exact steps he took to go from serving his country to serving up six-figure results in tech. This is more than inspiration. This is information to help you level up too. Welcome, Dutch, to the Six Figure Vet podcast.
Appreciate it.
Of course. So I always like to start each and every episode with a mental health check-in because it is important. So how are you doing today for real?
I'm doing well. I think it is important to have, your mental check, because when you have a lot of things going on in life, you kind of get wrapped up into that. So it's kind of, you have to unwind sometimes. So I'm learning that now. I'm actually learning that since I'm out.
So were you not doing that before you got out?
I was just going day by day, doing whatever I got to do instead of just, relaxing and everything. So I think it is important that you have to take a self-care day, or take a day just worry about yourself instead of trying to, I got this to do, I got that to do. So just relax and go have fun sometimes. Sometimes I lose that.
Yeah. And you know what? I feel like a lot of times when I talk to vets, is that piece. It's like, in the past, I've described it as like surviving and thriving.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of literally just like existing in the military. Mm-hmm. Not to say that like you don't have a life or anything like that, but it's like, okay, I got to get to the next thing. So I really don't have time to stop, check in on myself, make sure I'm cool. I literally have to finish this so I can get to the next thing and then get to the next thing and do that. And yeah.
Yeah.
So how was going from that environment in the military, where you really didn't have time to check on yourself, to now being afforded the luxury to take care of yourself and to check in with yourself?
To be honest, it's kind of weird, especially because I just got out in April this year. So I'm always used to having someone, in the military, having someone telling me what to do, when to do it,
mm-hmm.
what to dress, when to leave, when to come to work, and all that stuff. So once I got out, I know you have your time to go to work, but everything else is on you. So it kind of felt weird that I can dictate how I want my day to operate. So that was kind of a weird feeling. I remember my boss, the first day I walked up to her, I said, "So I'm done with everything. Can I go home?" And she was like, "You're a grown ass man. You can leave whenever you want." She was like, "You don't have to come check in with me." So I was like, "All right, bet, cool." So I'm still learning that I'm a home man right now, own person.
Yes. What were you doing? I know that you're in the metro area, DMV area right now. Are you from there?
No.
Okay, so give me some backstory about like where you from, what you was doing prior to being in the Army, how you ended up pledging.
All right, so long story is, I would say without COVID, and I'm not praising COVID because many people have died and got sick and everything from that. But going all the way back, I was born and raised in Atlanta. Went to school, did 3 years like in Indiana, a school called DePaul University. Transferred, got my bachelor's in communication at Oglethorpe University. Then after that, what was that, 2017? Yeah, 2017 to 2020, I went to grad school at Georgia College State University, down in Milledgeville, where I got my master's in creative writing and English. And then I pledged in Oglethorpe, Upsilon Omicron chapter. I am a charter member, so yeah. When I graduated in 2020, the Army, first off, the military wasn't even on the map. But, COVID happened.
Right.
Yeah, so I actually defended my thesis on the computer, just like this. Most time, everybody said you defending your thesis in front of the professors and all that stuff.
Like a panel.
Yeah, I didn't have none of that. I didn't even graduate. I didn't have a graduation, and so it was just like this on the computer. All right, you got your master's, but everything else is closed, literally. So I'm like, I gotta pay some bills. So before the military, I actually was a correctional officer
Okay.
for like a month, and I was like, yeah.
You can claim that. Don't tell nobody else that story because you can't claim a job, a career that you did for a month.
Being in a prison for a month is like 2 years. I was like,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, you were in a prison.
It goes down. Yeah. I don't see fights, everything you think of on the movies, that stuff is real. And I was like, let me go try this recruiter. So I went to the nearest army recruiter and I told him my situation and I was in basic training within like a week or two.
So were you an officer or were you enlisted?
Funny story. I went in enlisted.
Of course.
He did finesse me on that. But he tried to
Every
get me
time.
Yeah. So he tried to get me infantry. I was like, I'm not that dumb. I'm not doing that. So call me when y'all have like something with intel or something that I'm gonna have a clearance, something I could use my brains instead of just keep using my muscles and everything.
Yeah.
And so they called me and said, we got 35 Fox analyst position for intel. And I said, I'll take it. And he kept saying, well, it's kind of easier if you go in enlisted. They respect you more. And then after, it's easier to go officer. So I'm like, bet. And then he was like, I know people that had PhDs that didn't go to officer school and they said, well, they didn't even get recommended for it. So I was like, all right, well, listen. Basic training, go to my first duty station. Everybody was like, why are you a specialist with a master's degree? So yeah. But it happened for a reason. I'm out. I did my time, got everything that I needed. So, but at the time, I was like, it's some BS.
Let me throw a disclaimer in here. If you are a civilian, okay, and you are thinking about joining the military, let me say this very clear to you because you are like the umpteenth veteran that has came on this platform and then got tricked out the streets.
Yeah,
okay?
Real bad.
They got bamboozled.
Real bad.
If you are a civilian, you listen to this and you're thinking about joining the military and you have a degree, do not let them people tell you to go in enlisted because they are lying to you. They are telling you that to make a quota. You are a body. They don't care about you. Tell them that it's Officer or Nathaniel. Just like
that. Straight like that. And it's funny because they lied. They was like, oh, it'll be easier once you in, to transition and go to officer school and all that stuff. That's a lie, especially if you look a certain kind of way. They make it kind of harder for you. The only criteria that is you have to have a 110, what's that, GT score. You got to have a degree, and I think you got to pass a PT test. I had all 3 marks. I had my commander was like, yo, you have a master's degree. You should fill out for the officer school, OCS. So I did it. Then as soon as I did all the paperwork, she was saying, well, you might want to wait another 2 years to get military experience. And I was like, what? For what? Like, again, you can't really talk back in the military because now that's disrespectful. Yeah. And so she came up and told me that I need to fill this out. And then she said, no, you're not about to be an officer. Basically telling me that the only reason why I want to become an officer because I want people to salute me and I want to make more money. I swear. And I was like, really? First off, you don't really make a lot of money in the military in the first place. And I guess where you came from, you kind of, some people want like the fame, I guess the fame, you want people to salute you, call you sir. I don't care. I'm a regular person. First off, can you imagine being an officer and every day, like 100 people, hey sir, good morning sir. I don't want that. Like,
officers used to avoid us. Like if they saw us coming, they got tired of saluting us. They would literally walk the other way to avoid a salute.
I was avoiding them. I'll stay in my car. I swear I'll stay in my car. It's annoying, but yeah, after that happened, I was like, yeah, I got to make a change. I'm going to do one contract and try to figure something out. And I didn't know what was going to happen. But I'll let you, ask the questions. But yeah, thank God stuff happens for a reason. So I'm thankful for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Okay, so you join the military because it's COVID. COVID
Hmm.
happens and the world gets ghetto. Then you decide out of nowhere to
True.
become a correctional officer with a
Yeah.
master's in writing. All right. Okay, so now you're in the military. You have this intelligence analyst job, right?
Mhm.
So what was the deciding factor? Was it like after that moment, was it like, okay, after this I'm getting out? Or what made you be like, because I watch your content, I watch your page a lot, and I see, like you talk about what was kind of going on a year prior to you getting
Yeah.
out. So what was that deciding factor on you being like, all right, it's time?
Can I be real?
Yes.
All right. So it's a lot of BS. Now, the military definitely have its perks, and I'm very grateful for my experience and what led me to where I'm at now. But you got to deal with a lot of BS from like your NCOs harassing you. You have
Mm-hmm.
people telling you being disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
Your progression for as far as your career is in their hands. It doesn't even matter if you check all the checklists. They can be like, "No, we need you in the field," or someone constantly yelling at you. And I just remember myself. I'm not gonna lie. Like I broke down crying to my mom. Like, and I'm a energetic, positive guy. Like nothing really bothers me. But I'm like, I'm sitting here crying to my mom. It's about the BS that I have to deal with every single day. And I was like, yeah, this. And again, it's not the job. It wasn't the military. And again, everybody experience is different,
Yeah.
but it matters about your leadership and who's in the leadership and who's around you. And I can honestly say I met a few good people that wasn't part of my company and everything, but as far as my leadership, it was not the best.
Yeah. And I feel like that's um unfortunately, like the microaggressions
Yeah.
that are in the military are so downplayed. They're so
Hmm.
downplayed. And I don't know if they're downplayed because, we have an obligation as active duty service members to not speak up on certain issues, but it's a thing. It's a real thing. The microaggressions, the oppressions, the harassment that we deal with. Like it's insane. You have people like I've talked about it before on this platform, like, people that are not in the military, but like, oh, you only got X amount of years, you
They don't
know,
understand.
just tough it out. Like, "Mom, you realize what I gotta go through?"
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Um, because a lot of people that deal with those things, I know active duty service members that have, you know, completed suicide
Yeah.
because of the
That's a real
things
thing.
that it's a real thing. And
Yeah.
it's like, what are you going through? What are you going through? And I was talking to another, shout out to a struggle beard. I was telling him, he's another veteran, but I was telling him, like, a lot of PTSD that happens don't come from a combat zone.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
It don't. It could be blue to blue or green to green. Why I got PTSD? Like, it's a traumatic experience, and it don't
Yeah.
got to be in a field.
Can I talk about
So
my experience about that?
yes, I want
So,
you to.
so the first experience when you're in basic training, and this is just life in general, but in basic training, don't they teach you have your weapon, you don't point it at anybody, right? That's a
Yeah,
no no. That's
that's
a
like the first thing.
that's a no no. So my first month, like my first duty and my only duty station was at Fort Polk in Leesville, Louisiana, which is Fort Johnson now. So we going for a ruck with our weapons and everything. It's like 5 in the morning. This again, first duty station. I'm still green. I don't know about nothing. And so I got my M4. I thought I checked it to see if, there's ammo in there. I'm not pointing at nobody. I have it sitting up against me while we sit down, normal. it was a sergeant first class that came in there just yelling at everybody for no reason, like he was just on one. But he took mine and another person with the same color, and he just pointed us out. He took my weapon, told me to stand up, and pointed at me. And it said, "What's gonna happen if we out in the field?" And like, I don't know how to act in this moment again because you can't act a certain way in the military. So and then I'm shocked what's going on because I've been taught that no one should put a gun to your face.
He
And
pointed at your face.
yes, yes, and trying to yell at me because I don't know what's going on. And he was like, "What if we in battle or we get deployed?" Like he's just yelling, pointing, and then again, you don't know everybody's struggle and everybody's story.
Yeah.
Prior to me passing AIT, I lost one of my good friends to gun violence. So this wasn't even like a month ago.
This is also triggering.
Yeah,
Probably in this moment for you.
and you have everybody in the room just looking at you. I'm feeling like I'm a little bitch, and I don't know how to act. And again, I don't want to snitch. I don't know what to do. I went and go talk to my first sergeant about it. She said she would handle it. Now, imagine if the roles was reversed. A specialist do that to a sergeant first class. First off, you're gonna be a private. You're going down to be a private. You're gonna
If
have
you're not kicked out.
Yeah, extra duty and all that. She said she talked to him. Rank still the same. He was still able to host like some type of luncheon that we had with him and his wife. Had what's that stuff? Girl Scout cookies. Nothing seemed to happen to him, and I was just like, oh. And I was like, so that's how we doing it. Because again, if the roles were reversed, I'm getting kicked out. And so that was the first traumatic experience. So it's like, damn, if you could point a gun at me right now, what if we over there, you know what I'm saying, getting deployed, the news, whatever the case may be, how they want to structure, friendly fire, or I stepped on,
anything
whatever.
can happen. And it can be covered up.
Yeah. And another experience, I was dealing with a sergeant, another sergeant first class. He was my NCOIC. He had just came to the unit. He was very cool at first, very cool, very chill. He went on leave. He had to deal with some situation, got a divorce and everything. He came back a total new person. Started yelling, harassing me, harassing other people. I'm telling him what I'm going through. And again, it's like 4 specialists. And I'm telling him, yo, I got to go to therapy, go to this. He's basically saying, oh, you don't have no PTSD. There's nothing wrong with you. Like, and then he's disclosing it before the meeting to other specialists. Don't do that. You get what I'm saying? And he just kept antagonizing me. I still have the text messages. I printed it out. I reported him 1 o'clock in the morning. He's cussing at me. And it got to the point where I had to block him and I had to tell my OIC, yo, Sergeant first class, such and such. He's wilding. Look at this. So again, they didn't seem to care. And I was
Are you serious? And you got proof?
Yeah. I got the screen. I printed out and all that stuff. He's harassing me at 1 o'clock. It got to the point I had to block him. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So you dealing with all of this stuff while you're serving. Is this so? Describe your transition out. Like when she finally was like, "Okay, I ain't doing this. Y'all can have it." What was it like once you decided to transition out?
The moment I realized I wanted to do it.
Yeah, that you were like it was done.
So it happened right after. So the weapon event happened first. Me not going to OCS happened second, and then towards the end of my contract, that's when the whole sergeant first class was harassing me. So right after the officer, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this because I don't care if I check all the check marks. I'm not about to have my career in the hands of someone else. And, most people of our color gave me game. Hey, you don't have to work 3 times as harder as something. I mean, it's like life, but in the military, I mean, it's
even worse.
It's a white man's game. It is. It's an old white man's game. And I wasn't going to play that. And how I fell into this transition And I believe it was God because I didn't know anything about IT or tech. One of a cool sergeant, I would say his name, Sergeant Durellis. I owe him everything. He's so cool. He put me on game. He was like, "Do you know you can get all these IT certifications? I see you smart, and with the credential assistance, you can get security plus because he has all that. He had it on his desk. I'm like, damn, you smart. It's like, yeah, you could do it too. So he gave me the game, the blueprint.
Ooh,
So I'm just listening. I'm soaking it in, and right when I was about to try to apply for one of the schools, I went to Fort Knox for CST, cadet summer training to help out one of the units. I'm talking to a fella, and we just spend the game what we trying to do once we get out. Again, it's God, right place, right
right
time.
time.
A lieutenant colonel, old white gentleman, never seen him in my life. He heard our conversation. Yo, take this name, find him on LinkedIn. And he just walked off. And so I said, shoot. I went on LinkedIn. Yo, this lieutenant colonel told me to reach out to you because I was interested in IT. It turned out that was his brother, but they had different last names, so I didn't know. He was like, "Oh, that's just my brother." It turns out the guy who was in IT, he was a captain in the military, and so he started giving me game on what to
Right.
do. And once I was in Fort Knox still, I was at a bar. I hear other people talking about IT, and I was, excuse me, like, how you do this? It was, again, right time, right place, and then,
God will align some stuff for
yes,
you. If you
yeah,
tell him,
yes,
he will literally align your whole life to your goals.
yes. And I tell people, I didn't know anything about IT. I'm not trying to be one of these people that's saying, hey, I'm a guru at this. It legit fell into my lap with a blessing. And now I'm being a blessing to others because I didn't know anything about credential assistance. Most people don't know. You in the military for what, 8, 9 years,
Mm-hmm.
and you get $4,000. That's what 9 times 4. What is that? 36,000. That's
Mm-hmm.
36,000 of free education that you can use for certifications. It don't necessarily have to be for IT. And you
Right.
missed out on that. And that's people in the civilian world that's taking out loans and is paying hella money for these classes, and the military is giving us that. And like I said, I'm just passing free game because the military does offer life saving progressions, but like we are not advertised to it. Like you have
No,
to at all. I didn't know none of this stuff.
no,
People's
you
like,
have to know somebody that knows somebody that knows something about it, and hopefully they'll open their mouths and tell you. Hopefully.
mm-hmm. And because most people want to gatekeep, and I'm like, to me, it's too much money in this world. And
Mm-hmm.
all I can do is just give you the free game, like someone told me. Most people, when they get out the military, they don't even have a resume ready.
Nope.
They don't have. They just want to get out. That's it. There's no plan and no nothing. And once that IT stuff fell in my lap, I was doing my resume. I applied to like 300 jobs, and I got interviewed for 3 of them. I got accepted for 2 of them a week apart, and it was a surreal moment. I got accepted. I guess my first job offer was like in January for
Mm-hmm.
6 figures. I cried.
I would have too. You know how much money
Like,
we make in the military?
like you understand? Because like I'm from Atlanta. Like I legit came from what food stamps to Section 8. I didn't know none of this. Like that is possible. That other than music or
Right.
the sports, like someone that's black and educated, like it is possible for us to change the dynamic of our families and stuff like that. I sat there, I looked at my job offer for like a week straight, and I cried. I told my mom. It was just a surreal feeling, and so like I
Yeah.
said, the transition it happened by itself because it was just random people just came in my life at odd times. I didn't have no control.
So, how did you decide? So after you're given all this game, of course, you still like you still have to make a decision of like what area to specialize in. So how was it like choosing an area of IT? Because to the tech field, a lot of people hear tech and then they just assume that it's like coding or
Yeah.
that type of stuff. So how did you decide what field to specialize in?
So I'm not gonna lie. I did the Code Academy for like a year. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like a website you can try to learn how to code, learn Python, Shell,
Mm-hmm.
all C. What's that? C plus.
C++
And
and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, this ain't it. Like some people got it. I'm not gonna lie. And I learned IT is a big field. I don't need to learn how to code.
To make
And
money in the IT field. Oh, can you say that again? You don't need to learn how to code to make money in the IT field? That's
yeah,
what you said?
you don't, because I don't know how to code for nothing. But and later on in my career, I do want to learn what more stuff, obviously, and progress. But when I starting out, no, you don't need to learn how to code to get into IT at all. And right now, I'm an IT auditor, and it wasn't something that I just found or I tried to look to specialize. Like I said, I was hungry. I was on what's that clearance jobs. I was on
Man, what
Indeed.
clearshops.com?
Like right before I went to sleep every day, it was like 100 jobs that I was applying for. Oh, you don't fit the criteria. You don't fit the criteria. And then part of it was my resume at first. I did go through a resume service of one of my Alpha brothers, Christian Williams, and he helped me. And then I learned that I can learn how to do the resume because I have an English background, but resume is totally different. So I had to
Right.
learn that lingo, and so now I specialize in like IT resume. I can help you, get a callback, get an interview, but I can't guarantee a job.
Of
You
course,
got you
right.
have to learn. That's another skill that most military personnel and veterans don't have, and they don't teach us that how to conduct ourselves in an interview.
Interviews.
And just how we on social media, just like how you say you was looking at my videos. If you know you have a job interview with such and such, find out who the panel is. Google them.
Yes.
Instagram.
Yes.
See how many kids.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, because people want to talk about themselves. Especially executive management. They want to talk about themselves. So even if let's say you're a football fan. Let's say I'm from Atlanta, and I'm a huge Falcons fan, and the person who's interviewing me is from Florida. He's a Buccaneers fan. Well, that's in our division. So I'm gonna say, hey Matt, I see that you love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, did you go to the game when Tom Brady was there? Did you go to the Super Bowl? How was that experience? It's more than just answering the
The
technical
questions.
questions. You have to learn how to be personable. And we
Yes.
have that in because we go on social media and we stalk people. We do what we want to do, but we never translate our
Are you trying to
skills.
say I stalked you, Dutch? Is that
No,
what
no,
you're
no,
trying to say? I'm just
no. But we do
right. We
what
gotta
we can on social
dig.
media. I know if you looking at a man looking at a woman to try to see if she's still in a relationship, she deleted all the photos.
Right.
She got all this solo trips and she doing all these little single quotes and quoting Beyonce. All right, she's single. Let me do that. So if you can do stuff like that, you can do that same approach
Right.
to
And exactly. And I think that's really, really big. When I was like searching for a job, I was really, really good at interviewing, but it was because I used to go up for so many boards and stuff when I was in the military. But what it taught me, there's 2 points I want to hint at that you talked about. How many jobs you apply for, as you were trying to find a job.
Mhm.
Listen, I had a goal. It was to apply to 50 jobs.
Mhm.
I think it was a week.
Mhm.
I was applying for 50 jobs a week. And if by the time I got out, I had bumped it up to 100 jobs a week
Yeah.
applying. You know how many no's I got? How many non-responses? Like,
Yeah.
they just wouldn't even say anything back. Like, you have to be willing to take the no's. And I think that's just in everything. Like, I think people, especially when it comes to the IT field, you hear how broad it is and how great it is and how
Mhm.
high demand it is. And so when you apply for those jobs and you get told no, or you don't get a response back, or you have these recruiters that's, playing
Mhm.
around, you get discouraged. Like, you have to fight. You have
Yeah.
to be willing to put in work to find these jobs and not get discouraged. Even if your resume is like tight, there's somebody else that's competing for the same job.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn, they start showing like how many people that are applying for one
Yeah.
job posting. And it'd be thousands for one job.
hmm
Thousands.
And
So
one
don't get
thing,
discouraged.
I want to say about like don't let the rejections get you discouraged. And I had this since I was a kid. J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, is one of the richest authors, right? One of the most
Right.
famous authors. Her books become masterpiece in theaters, and people still watch it every day. They have marathons with Harry Potter. She got rejected by over, I want to say, 20, if my math, I want to say she got rejected by at least 12 to 15 publishers. J.K. Rowling. All it took was one publishing company. And now she's one of the biggest authors. I mean, Harry Potter's freaking global. And it wasn't even,
Yes.
I think she's like she's from England, if I'm not mistaken. It's not even a US, but it's all over the world. And all it takes is that one company, and she didn't quit. You can't either. And
Right.
so I just learned to never quit. And one of the other things I want to get out on this interview, once you're doing a job interview, you're not just answering questions, you're
Mhm.
asking them as well.
Yes.
It's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. So just how they're asking you a question, you need to be asking them. And of course, you don't have to have stuff on top of your head. For me, I can't memorize for lick. So every time I have an interview, I had a notepad with like 5, 6 different questions, and depending on the vibe, I know what questions to ask them. Now it's like, oh, he's actually interactive during this session. Oh, I like him. He might not have this type of skill set, but we can teach him this. He's very
We can
coherent.
teach them.
Yeah, he can. We can teach him. You just never know. They might not be looking for the best qualified or the most qualified person. They might want to look for someone that's new so they can mold them into
So
how
they
they
can
want it to
mold
be
them.
mold them. Because some companies don't want other experience from other experienced employers that are employees that have their own way of thinking. Sometimes they want new. You never know. So don't limit yourself, and just make sure you prepare, and don't be sad or discouraged when you get no's, because all it takes is
Yeah.
that one yes. That's all
That's
it
all it
takes.
takes. That's so. As I said before, his content is centered around getting out the military and getting into tech, right? And there is a mindset shift that happens once you start truly like seeking success and then obtaining it. What changed for you? Like, what has that shift been like from being in the military mentally, right? Mindset. So, what has that shift been like from being in the military, barely making ends meet, to becoming a well 6-figure earner? What has that been like? What have your daily habits become? What are some things that you've changed that you feel like has um contributed to your success outside of the military?
It's very cliche when people say money can't buy you happiness,
Mhm.
but most of the time, when you're in that working class or you're trying to make ends meet, you're depressed and angry because you're always trying to make ends meet. Like you're trying to hustle to pay the rent, hustle to pay the car note, hustle
Mhm.
to have some type of food on the table. And to be honest, this goes with other stuff, other needs, but more other wants. But your needs, once that's taken care of, you can relax.
Yeah.
Like you learn that life is short. You learn to appreciate different things, especially road rage. Like let's say you get on road rage and you can't even afford such and such, and then someone cuts you off, you get angry. But now your whole mindset is just different because you don't you don't have that weight on your shoulder anymore
Mhm.
of living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And so I wholeheartedly disagree when people say money can't buy you happiness, because you want somewhere. You want to have a nice job, and you want to have somewhere that you can lay your head down. Once you
Yeah.
have that, your sanctuary, that's your peace. Once you have your peace, I guess nothing in the world matters.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like once you obtain a certain amount of success, it allows you to focus on things that actually matter.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, um, getting out of the military, of course, like, stop asking y'all military family members for money because they broke.
yeah,
Okay? I'm gonna just keep it 100. They ain't got it. All right?
yeah.
And once you get out and you start making, um, I tell, like, when I was doing consulting and coaching for veterans or whatever, I would tell them, like, your money, the money is going to be the least issue. Like, the
Mhm.
money's going to come. The money's going to come. What are you going to do when that ain't, that's no longer your problem? You're going to have all this other stuff to sort through. You're going to have to figure out what really makes you happy because, you know, I see why they say money doesn't buy you happiness, but once you get the money and it solves the problems that you feel like you have, then what? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
then what makes you happy? What makes you calm? What keeps you calm? What keeps you striving? So now that you have, you know, obtained six figures and you have a great job and you're in the IT field, um, what keeps you inspired now?
The gym, and
Okay.
and it's just crazy if you go work out. First off, that's a stress reliever.
Mhm.
You have your AirPods in or some music playing. You have control over that.
Yeah.
Like your workout, and you feel good while doing it. It's your own community. You start seeing the same people. Um, you start making friends in the gym because, like I said, you start seeing the same people around the same time. And I think working out is a sanctuary for your body and your mind.
Yeah.
And that's why some people are kind of like sluggish sometimes, because they don't have that time or they don't devote that time to go work out. Our body, I say this analogy all the time, our bodies are like cars. You have to go get an oil change and tune ups for your car, right?
Yeah.
You got to do the same thing for your body and your mind. And so, self care, I think the gym is part of like the self care.
Mhm.
Um, go get massages,
Mhm.
facials. Just honor your body, and
Yeah.
that would go a long way. Don't indulge in, I guess, that fast lifestyle because that's what I did when I first moved to DMV.
Mhm.
Happy hour was crazy in DC, just drinking, 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 and that gets old after a while. Like have just going out, having a good time. You have to do something that really matters to you. And for right now, what I'm learning is the gym.
Yeah. How did you end up in the DMV? Because you was down in Louisiana. How did you make it up to Chocolate City?
Oh, it's yeah. So I tell everybody this also. To be successful, you got to go wherever the money's at.
Let's talk about it.
I have people commenting in my DMs, "Hey, is there places I want to go back home? Why? Why you want to go
Yeah.
back home?
Yeah.
You limit yourself going back home. It's the same people, the same thing. And so, like I said, I was applying for jobs in Alabama, Ohio,
So
uh,
you would have went wherever.
the bag. Yes, I'm going where the bag is at. And so I got a job here. I got out the army in April. I did my skill bridge, and then I had time left, so I was able to leave the military. I want to say the first week of March, but first part of January, I already knew I was going. Like I'm about to go to Virginia. Like I had to drive, had to make sure I packed up everything. It was an expensive move, and thank God it saved money. I think that move cost me over $15,000.
Listen, I moved from Maryland to Houston, back to Virginia
Ooh,
within 2 years.
ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and I didn't have no help from the military when I was doing all these moves. So
Yeah.
yes, moving cross country, moving to different states, it ain't fun. It ain't
No,
fun. But like you said, it was worth it.
you gotta do what you
So
gotta do.
you got to do what you got to do. So what is next for you? What are your goals in tech? Are you exploring new opportunities? What do you have up your sleeve?
So right now, I'm still in school. I'm getting my second master's in advertising right now. So I'm wrapping up with
Okay.
finals and everything. So after this, I want to kind of take my brand more seriously because I didn't know what impact I could have. Like I was just doing this. First off, I did it because when I first moved here, salary transparency, street salary, or I think that's the name of it. The lady
Yeah.
she was by my car. Again, things happen for a reason. She's
Right.
interviewing people by my car. I'm out in Virginia in Arlington, going to I think I was at AT&T store. She's by my car interviewing people. I was like, oh, I've seen you before. Oh, hey, do you want to do an interview? Okay. I didn't think nothing of it. 2-3 weeks later, DMs blowing up. People say, this is you. Like, this is you. You should start a TikTok. I was like, all right, cool. I did a TikTok trying to, like, I still haven't touched the surface of what I can do.
Yeah.
And I know there is a need in the military aspect of helping people. And what that looks like right now, I don't know. So I
Yeah.
really need to sit down because now people are telling me, like, I went to go work out down in Arlington. Someone who's not even in the IT, we don't even cross paths. I seen your TikTok on the Forest Explore page. I'm like, what? So now I got to learn to take this more seriously. I don't care for the
Yes.
fame. Don't, I want to truly help people.
Yeah.
And so I want to figure out what's the best way and avenue that I can just help. It's not even for IT. I want to just show veterans and military personnel how to get their resume, how to utilize their clearance as leverage, and how to utilize this free education that the Army gives them every year to better themselves once they get out and better themselves for their families. And so I know what I have, and I'm very grateful. And I think, again, this was my calling. And
Yeah.
so I need to sit down, make sure, have a website, have a real brand because it just took off on its own. So I'm still in the process of this because I'm not into making videos every single day. I'm still answering DMs every day. It gets to the point where it's like I'm tired, but
Yeah.
I want to help people. In order to help, you can't get tired. So I'm trying to learn all this stuff as I go. So if I do stumble across, a little failure or a little hump away, I'm truly learning as I go.
Yeah. Tell the people where they can reach you at, Dutch.
Okay, so my Instagram is the_fly Dutchman, and my TikTok is Dutch IT guy.
Mm.
That's where I
And those will be
utilize.
linked in the show notes, guys.
Yeah, thank you. And so I'm learning to give content that would help military personnel's. Again, if you have any questions on what I did or what can you do, and I tell people they need to be looking at their future 2 years before they get out the military. Don't wait a month or two. I'm about to get out the military in 2 months. What can I do?
Yeah,
You need to start worrying about this now.
exactly. Yes. Well, this has been another amazing episode of the Six Figure Vet Podcast, where we showcase the success stories of Black and Brown veterans that have successfully unlaced the boots. The Six Figure Vets.
On Top Records.
Hey y'all, it's a Six Figure Vet here. If you or any other active duty service member or veteran that you know is suffering with suicidal ideation, substance use, or mental health disorders, please tell them to call 988. The number is 988. They're trained crisis responders waiting to take their calls. You don't have to suffer in silence.